Hi folks, Jamie from jrr.yoga here for a short asana practice. If you'd like to use props while you are sitting, feel free to grab a blanket, a small cushion, a block, something that works to keep your hips just a little higher than your knees for a more comfortable upright seat. Feel free to use that at any point where we are seated. As you settle into your tall, comfortable seat, allow your hands to rest on your legs, your eyes to come closed, and your chin to tuck just slightly toward your chest. Take a moment here to observe your breath without changing it. Just noting the quality of your breath today. Gently move your breath to a deeper and more full inhale and exhale. And now moving into a 4-part breath. The 4-part breath consists of an inhale, a hold, an exhale, and a hold. Each part of the breath is the same length as every other part. So starting out to a silent count of 4 is a great place to start. You can choose to make that breath deeper or more shallow depending on your needs today as you figure out what works best for you. So I'll be counting to 4. You can choose to count silently to yourself any other number that works for you in your breath. Take a full exhale and we'll inhale 2, 3, 4, hold the breath, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. That is one round of breath. We'll inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. One more round of this breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Allow your breath to come back to whatever is currently natural for you. Maybe encouraging smooth inhales and exhales. And coming into movement here, let's take the soles of the feet together, the knees out wide. Your heels can be as close to your pelvis or as far away from your pelvis as is comfortable for you, particularly in the knees, making sure those knees are feeling comfortable here. Refine that length in your spine, sit tall. Take a deep inhale. With your exhale, kind of leading the way with your belly button, finding a forward fold. The spine stays long here. And on your next inhale, work your way back upright. You can take those knees toward the ceiling for a moment, feet flat on the ground. Scoot those feet forward a little bit if you like. And if you're sitting on a prop, move that prop out of the way and find your way to a hands and knees position in a tabletop. If you're being gentle with your wrists today, walk those hands forward a bit. If your wrists are comfortable stacked right under the shoulders, that's the furthest back they should be, here in your tabletop position. Moving through some cow and cat pose. Coming into cow pose first. Inhale, arch that spine, lift your hips, lift your chest. And exhale, round the spine, tuck chin, tuck pelvis. Inhale, back to cow. And exhale, round into cat. Flow between these two poses at your own pace. Follow your own breath, and we'll do that 4 more times. And after that last round, find your way into a child's pose. So your hips sit back towards your heels. Arms can either stretch out, extended toward the top of the mat. Or if you prefer more support for your head, you can stack hands, arms, or fists for your forehead to rest on here. Knees can be out wide like your mat, or closer together towards your belly button. Find your way back up into your tabletop position here. From there, moving into a downward facing dog, walk those hands to the top of the mat, actively gripping the mat, kind of like palming a basketball. Curl those toes under and lift your hips into the downward facing dog. Your knees can be as bent as you'd like them to be to accommodate tightness in the back of the body. Try to soften the neck. Top of the head starts to point toward the spot in between your hands. And walk your feet towards your hands or your hands towards your feet. Find your way to a half standing forward fold, walking those hands up to front of the legs. The nose points down, the top of the head points forward, length in your spine. And then exhale, sink into your standing forward fold or Uttanasana. Soften the neck, soften the knees. And if you want to accommodate your fold a little deeper, you could potentially walk those feet out wider like your mat to help make some space for your fold. Give those knees a little bend. Inhale, take the arms up, come all the way up to standing, arms overhead. And exhale, hands down to your heart. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips, kind of leading with your belly button and chest at the same time. Inhale, halfway lift, hands can come to the front of legs. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sweep those arms up, come back to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, take the arms back up, upward salute. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, bend those knees enough that you can take your hands down to the mat, kind of gripping the ground again. Walk your feet back. Take your knees to the ground. We'll find your way up to kneeling here. So nice and tall, shoulders over hips, hips over knees. Knees are hip width apart or a little bit wider if that's a more comfortable kneeling position for you. Adding some cushion under the knees anytime you're kneeling is a great thing to do if your knees are a little bit sensitive. So nice and tall here. Take your hands to your low back, your hips. Kind of tuck those elbows to point behind you. Lengthen your spine. We'll gently press the hips forward, kind of lifting the chest like there's a string tied to the middle of your rib cage. Chin can either lift or tuck, whatever feels safest in your neck. Just finding a little bit of a baby camel pose here. And draw those hips back in space, coming out of that back bend. We'll take hands down to the floor. Plant those hands on the mat. Find your way back to your downward facing dog. If your wrists are feeling a little tender in downward facing dog, you could think about bringing your fingers together like you're wearing mittens instead of spread out like you're wearing gloves. That can take a little bit of that tension out of the wrists. And walk your feet back towards your hands or hands to the feet. Inhale to a half standing forward fold. We'll lengthen the spine. Exhale, sink into a standing forward fold. Remembering to keep the knees a bit soft as well as the neck. Then inhale, take those arms up overhead. Exhale, hands down to the heart. Bring those arms back down along your sides. Step your right foot forward, stepping that left foot back. Hips turn to face the front of the mat. Put a bend in that front knee. Hands here can be on hips, out wide to help with balance, or arms up overhead. We're here in Warrior One pose. And now opening up into Warrior Two, your hips and shoulders kind of turn to open up to the longer edge of the mat. We're keeping that bend in your front knee. And then the arms come up parallel to the ground. Gaze is at the front fingertips here in Warrior Two. Moving into reverse warrior, turn your right palm to face the ceiling. That left hand comes to rest on the back of the left leg. The right palm will kind of reach up and sweep to face the wall behind you. Finding a little back bend here, but still lots of length in the spine, and keeping that bend in your front knee. Your gaze here could be wherever it is most comfortable for your neck. And inhale, find your way back to your Warrior Two. Lower those arms, straighten your front leg, and turn both feet to point toward the long edge of the mat here. Nice and tall in your spine, coming into a forward fold. Think again about hinging at your hips, not up at your waist. Your belly button and your sternum kind of lead the way together in this forward fold. So take a deep inhale. On your exhale, leading forward, belly button and chest into a wide leg standing forward fold. This is a great place to put your hands on a chair or other piece of furniture that won't move at all if lifting your head is a little easier for your balance here. You can try to soften the neck a little bit here. Backs of the hands can rest on the mat, or you can clasp your hands to opposite elbows and let your arms hang heavily. Check in with your knees, and if they're feeling pretty tense, maybe try to put a little softness into them. Release those hands from your elbows. Walk the hands up your legs. We'll come halfway up, this time bringing your gaze forward. And with your next inhale, coming all the way back, upright. Then turn your left foot to point at the back of the mat, the short end of the mat. We'll turn hips to face the short end of the mat as well. Coming into your warrior one, left foot forward and right foot back. So bend the front knee, arms up overhead, out wide, or hands on hips. And open up to warrior two, so hips and shoulders open again toward the long edge of the mat. We're keeping that bend in your front knee. Arms are up, parallel to the ground, with your gaze at your front fingertips. Into reverse warrior. Turn the left palm to face the ceiling. Right hand comes to rest on the back of the right thigh, sweeping that left arm up so the palm faces behind you. Again, your gaze can be wherever it's most comfortable for your neck here. And inhale, work your way back, warrior two. Drop those arms, straighten your front leg, turn both feet to point toward the short end of the mat, the long end of the mat, and then just walk those feet back together, coming to standing, feet about hip width apart. Take your weight now into your left foot. Keep that left knee a bit soft. Hands can start out on hips and move elsewhere if they're more useful there. Working on tree pose. Toes of your right foot touch the ground. Heel touches the inside of your left leg. Looking for grounding through that left foot and growing height in your body from the sole of your foot to the top of your head. If you feel like you have established some balance here, you can try to walk the foot up the inside of your leg. And if it feels like that balance is hard to hold on to, you can always move that foot back down to help steady yourself anytime. Take a deep inhale. With your exhale, slowly with control, take that right foot back down to the mat. Make some movements in your knees, your hips, your ankles if you need to here. And then switching sides. Take your weight now into that right foot. Nice solid connection with the ground. Building some length in your body to start with. Hands again can stay on hips. Left toes touch the ground. Left heel touches the inside of your right leg. Nice and tall. Find that length, that height in the body. And if you find the balance for it on this side, you can try moving that foot up, always taking it back down if needed. Take a deep inhale. With your exhale, slowly with control, take that foot back down to the ground. Again, move whatever feels like it could use a little bit of movement here. And from here, come down to the floor. We'll come to seated and then find your way onto your back. Bring those arms along your sides, palms down. Start out by stacking your heels right underneath those knees. Knees are hip width apart, feet are hip width apart. We'll move into a bridge pose here. So press those feet into the ground, lift the hips here. Now think about kind of squeezing the knees toward each other. You're not trying to make them touch, just keeping those legs very active. And with your next exhale, slowly lower the hips back down to the ground. Give those knees a little sway from side to side here. And then take your arms out into a T shape, palms down if that's comfortable in your shoulders. We'll move into a twist here. So lifting those hips, we'll kind of shift that left hip to the midline of the mat as both knees fall to the left. Your gaze up at the ceiling or over toward the right hand. With your next inhale, take the knees back toward the ceiling, feet flat to the floor. Give yourself a breath or two here. And then when you are ready, you will kind of lift those hips again, shift that right hip toward the midline of the mat, and both knees fall toward the right. Your gaze here either up at the ceiling or over toward the left hand. With your next inhale, those knees come back toward the ceiling, hips and feet supported by the floor. You can bring those arms back in. From here, take your palms together. Interlace your fingers. Then press your palms up toward the ceiling. Your elbows do not have to be all the way straight, but they certainly can be. You can start to let those arms move overhead, stopping anywhere that feels like too much. And when you find a point that feels a little intense, you can stop there, breathe into it, and choose to stay right there, to back off, or if it becomes more comfortable, continue on. With the next inhale, let's take those palms back toward the ceiling. Bring the palms together and take your hands back down to your heart. From here, find your way back upright, moving into some poses that are seated. So if you do like using a prop for seated poses, find your prop. Take the left leg out and take the right leg out and the left foot in. Sit tall. Turn your torso to face that right foot. Ankle is flexed and toes point up at the ceiling. Inhale, take the arms overhead. And on an exhale, fold forward. Hands coming to rest wherever they reach, coming into an asymmetrical forward fold here. Inhale, work your way back upright. Torso turns to face forward. Left leg comes out. Right leg in. Flex that left ankle, toes point up. Length in your spine. Turn to face that left foot. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, fold forward. Hands resting wherever they comfortably reach. Inhale, work your way back upright and just take both legs out in front of you. Ankles flexed and toes pointed up toward the ceiling. Hands can rest on your thighs or next to your thighs. Take a nice deep inhale and an exhale. Either leave your legs straight or cross the legs. Sit tall. Let your chin tuck towards your chest. Take 3 full, deep breaths here. If you'd like, take your hands, palms together at your heart. Bow your head just a bit. And fold forward, bowing to seal your practice today. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.